mettre sur pied une école libre à Montréal. Et en ce moment, c'est illégal. On a des écoles libres en Ontario, en Colombie-Britannique. Évidemment, aux États-Unis, il y en a plusieurs. Alors, même donc tout près de chez nous, c'est légal et ça existe. Alors, il n'y a pas de raison qu'au Québec, on n'ait pas accès à avoir une école libre. Toute la question de l'illégalité versus la légitimité. C'est encore une façon intéressante de polariser les choses parce que on peut considérer que c'est peut-être illégal une école libre, mais c'est certainement légitime s'il y a des parents ou des enfants qui aimeraient vivre cette expérience-là. C'est beau les idéaux des écoles libres, mais si on permet ça, c'est de la porte ouverte aux écoles religieuses. Mais tu vois, comme aux États-Unis, ils ne se posent pas cette question-là. En Angleterre, Samuel, depuis 80 ans, j'ai jamais entendu dans aucune recherche ou étude que c'est quelque chose qui a permis un dérèglement avec des écoles qui enseignaient que Darwin a dit n'importe quoi. J'ai pas... il y en a peut-être, mais c'est certainement pas important comme... Alors la question d'avoir peur des sectes religieuses ou des écoles religieuses, je comprends qu'elle se pose. Maintenant, il faut toujours amener le débat dans une perspective sociétale. Le parallèle que je veux faire avec la question des sectes religieuses, puis de surveiller ceux qui font l'école à la maison ou les écoles libres, ou parce qu'on ne veut pas qu'il y ait des dérives, finalement, ça part d'une bonne intention, qu'il n'y ait pas de dérives. Les dérives, des conséquences négatives, il va en avoir quel que soit notre choix. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'est-ce qu'on choisit? Quelle est la conséquence négative qu'on choisit? Au Canada, en justice, on a préféré un coupable en liberté plutôt qu'un innocent en prison. Alors moi, la question de contrôler les écoles et d'essayer d'interdire, c'est un peu la position du gouvernement en ce moment. Essayer de durcir sa position et d'être plus contrôlant, plus ingérant dans le choix éducatif des familles, sous prétexte qu'il peut y avoir des dérives religieuses. Je trouve que c'est un choix, pour moi, qui mène à une forme de totalitarisme, le contrôle de l'État sur les familles et sur l'éducation des enfants. Peut-être qu'il va y avoir un jour, si on permet les écoles libres, est-ce qu'il va y avoir un jour des écoles religieuses? Peut-être. Mais pour moi, c'est une conséquence en termes de démocratie réelle. Ça serait la conséquence que je choisirais, le risque que je prendrais. Et je pense qu'il est exagéré, ce risque-là, pour connaître un peu le milieu. On sait au Québec que ceux qui font l'école à la maison pour des raisons religieuses sont moins nombreux qu'aux États-Unis.
So my name is Idzi. I'm 19 years old, and my only experience with formal institutionalized schooling was half a year at kindergarten before I was pulled out to homeschool. And it started out really relaxed, eclectic homeschooling, and it quickly progressed through the years to unschooling, and eventually radical unschooling. And unschooling is, in the basic definition, is, to use Life Learning magazine, which is an unschooling magazine's definition, unschooling is personalized, non-coercive, active, interest-led learning from life. So, yes, that's basically it. Usually, unschooling is a continuum. There isn't just like homeschooling, you don't have like one exact, everyone does it this way. In unschooling, there tends to be what some people call academic unschooling, and that's trusting children to learn basically the school type subjects, right? Trusting children to learn in education, trusting children with their education, whereas radical unschooling is trusting children with their whole life. And they choose their bedtimes, what they eat, you support them, you give them healthy choices, the parent acts as a good role model and supports them, keeps them safe, but the child is the one in charge of their own life completely, not just parts of their, not just the educational part.
Eclectic homeschooling essentially is you use curriculums, you use books, parents are in charge of the education, but they choose you might go to a museum to learn about art instead of studying art. You can learn math through Cuisinart rods.
It's basically they don't take a set curriculum. Instead of having a set curriculum, they put together their own curriculum and use lots of life experiences, parts of the community to put together. Whereas unschooling puts the education in the hands of the child with a parent as facilitator and support, and radical unschooling puts the child's life in their hands with parents as facilitator, support, whatever. I think a lot of reactions you get from schooled people, either who've already graduated from school are still in it, tends to be pretty often really defensive. They sometimes get really, really angry, because basically if I didn't have to, if I didn't have to go to school and I'm doing okay, then why are they in school, or why did they have to go to school? There's this big thing. Because, I don't know, unschoolers show that you don't need formal instruction to do okay, that you can be in charge of your own life and you can do well that way. And people really don't like hearing that, because it means either they're wasting their time, or they've wasted their time, or they tend to get really, really defensive and kind of angry, even if it's presented in a very non-adversarial way on your part. People tend to, well, what do you mean, What do you mean you don't have to go to school? Of course you have to go to school. Yes. A few years ago, I guess, because I was kind of insecure about it a few years ago, and kind of like, oh, is this really the right thing? And, am I ruining my life? And so through that, I started really researching, and I got in contact with the wider unschooling community in North America, and we started going to conferences, unschooling conferences in North America, and it just, I just started getting really, really interested, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people doing this, and look at how how awesome they are, and how good this is. And I just started getting really interested in it, really passionate about it, reading as much as I could. And I don't know, came to be really happy that that's the type of education I had. I mean, I was happy with it until I was 15. Then I was 15, like, oh, maybe this is wrong, and then I was happy afterwards again. I've kind of figured out a couple of things that do seem to be real differences, and to be fairly widespread differences. Unschoolers are often much, much more self-aware. It's like they know themselves. They're really aware of themselves, and you see a lot of times I find people in school, they're really not. They don't know themselves. They're really, I don't know, there's just a different thing where unschoolers tend to be much more self-assured and to know themselves a lot better. Yeah, that's one thing. They have better relationship with their parents. Absolutely. There's no such thing as teen rebellion among radical unschoolers. It just, you don't see it, their parents aren't adversaries, their parents are friends, are support, it's a partnership. It's not an adversarial relationship.
What is there to rebel against? When they go out, I say, when are you going to be back? Are you going to be home for supper? I don't give curfews. They've never, ever had.
And I do the same for her, actually. My parents, when they're going out late, I'm like, when are you going to be back, so I don't worry?
Exactly, and that's what it is. That's what it is.
It's a partnership.
It's a respect for people, not, and I'm the parent, you're the child, you have to listen to me. It's, I respect she's a person with her own opinions and her own views and likes, and she has the same respect. So, like she says, if we're going out, she wants to know when we'll be back, so she doesn't worry. And by the same token, she understands if we're going, if she's going out, that we want to know when she's going to be back for the same reason. The one thing you absolutely have to have in order to unschool is trust. You have to trust that your child is going to learn, that your child is an intelligent person, that
they're a capable person.
They're capable. And they have to trust you that you are going to support them. You're not going to suddenly turn around and say, no, you can't do that. Why? Well, just because I said so. So there has to be a lot of mutual trust in order for unschooling to work. That the child knows they can turn to you when they need you for support, that you let them do what they're able to do on their own, and that you have the same trust for them.
Well, people have the idea that you won't learn if not taught, that children don't want to learn, that they have to be forced to learn, that learning is hard and work, and so must be forced. There's the idea that a parent's not being a real parent if they're friends with their kids. They have to be an authority figure and to tell their children what to do, that a parent can't be a friend and a parent. What else?
Well, basically the unparenting argument.
Yeah, there's a lot of people is unparenting, unparenting. They say unschooling, well, that's unparenting. If you don't give your children rules, if you don't send them to bedtime, because we talked, in radical unschooling, they talked about principles versus rules. One unschooling mom used the example, a rule is don't pull the cat's tail. The kid pulls the cat's tail, don't pull it. A principle is the kid pulls the cat's tail, that's not nice, it hurts the cat, That's kind of the difference. It's not setting down rules, it's having principles of living in a way that's respectful of others and of yourself. instead of having all these arbitrary rules that aren't explained, they're just there that you must do this and this and this.
But there are people that think if you're not telling your children what to do,
they'll run crazy.
They're going to run wild. And so they say you're not parenting. That it's child abuse if you don't tell them what to do and you don't teach them.
Yeah.
So there's some really radical on the other side that think, oh my gosh, how can you possibly do this to your child? It's not right. You have to tell them what to do or they won't know. And it's a complete lack of trust.
Or they'll be insecure. I've heard that one. I'm like, what?
Yeah, if you don't tell your kids what to do.
Don't tell me what to do, so I'll be insecure. I don't quite see the connection. But I think like in kind of grassroots level, people kind of are starting to maybe accept it a bit more. Like since I was young, and even since just a few years I've been paying attention to unschooling stuff, it's been talked about so much more. It's grown so much more. So on that level, it's growing.
So you saw yourself the difference?
Yes, I've seen myself in my lifetime for sure. There's a huge difference locally and like, you know.
When she was young.
Wider.
When she was young, there were no other people that we knew with kids her age unschooling. And in our area, there were just no unschoolers. Now we see more and more people with young children that are interested in unschooling.
But by the same thing, I feel like if it grows too much, those in power, kind of the higher ups, the people who are more concerned, will start cracking down and, you know, trying to tighten things up and kind of, you know, get more people back in school and stuff. So I don't know. I really, like, people ask, where do you see the unschooling movement going? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. It could go so many different ways. And